So as a massive fan of murder mystery movies and this incredible cast, I was really looking forward to watching Vengeance, and it is really good. I mean, especially the start of this movie. It starts off on such a high, but it kind of plateaus, goes down a bit, and then comes back right at the end. But I was just expecting so much more from this film. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video, we are going to be reviewing Vengeance, which is a dark comedy murder mystery thriller film that of course does have a true murder mystery aspect to it at its core, but it also looks at some other things as well. For example, society, getting out of your comfort zone, relationships, both unexpected ones, and the meaning that we give relationships versus the meaning that other people give to them as well. And like I said earlier on, this movie just starts off on an absolute high, and I just wish it would have maintained it, as it was just so good. But like I said earlier on as well, it does dip, but then does pick up right at the end, which does make this movie as a whole really, really wicked, but it just could have been so much better, and I'm going to be breaking it all down for you in this movie review. So like I said, the opening of this film is so strong as we are introduced to the main lead character, New York journalist Ben, and he is talking to his best friend about insignificant relationships and hookup culture. And then one night while he is hooking up, he learns that his past hookup has actually died and reluctantly gets invited to go to the funeral. And over there, the deceased girl's brother convinces him that actually something more sinister is going on, and he reluctantly again agrees to explore this for his new podcast. Now, from a positive point of view, I absolutely love murder mystery movies, and it was really refreshing actually that this was a really different take on murder mysteries. It started off really, really differently, a little bit like a rom-com if anything, and then suddenly became this darker movie while still retaining its dark comedy side as well. And on that point, it just maintains and retains its comedic aspects across the entire film, and I just feel like Ben is such a brilliant character, and just his facial expressions, his comedic timing, all of these things are really, really good. I mean, all of the surrounding characters are really, really funny as well, but I just feel like Ben absolutely holds it from the front. In a very similar way to Only Murders in the Building, I love the aspect of a podcast as well, and how he is sending his notes to his editor, and he is a true New Yorker, so I absolutely love the true fish out of water aspects when he travels to Texas and just seeing how he's interacting with all these Texan people. And just the culture clash that takes place is just absolutely wicked. However, from a negative point of view, I feel like you can see the end reveal coming a mile off. It's super predictable, which was a little bit unsatisfying and a little bit disappointing, as I would have loved there to have been a few more smarter twists and turns, and just maybe something a little bit darker taking place as well. And like I mentioned earlier on as well, the second half of this movie definitely dips. It does pick it up somewhat towards the end, but like I said, it could have just made it so much better. But overall, I do feel like, from a storyline perspective, it is really gripping in its new innovative approach for a murder mystery movie. So the cast and characters of Vengeance are just absolutely brilliant, and they really do all light up the screen and really do actually throw themselves into the roles that they're in. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, we have BJ Novak, who is not only acting in this movie, but he is also writing and directing it, and he just did an absolutely excellent job. I just absolutely loved him in this film. I feel like his comedic timing was absolutely brilliant. He is somewhat relatable, as he is trying to be really, really serious and is trying to take in everything that's happening, even though it is quite crazy. And I just feel like the way in which he deals with it all is just absolutely incredible. His comedic timing is pure gold. There are so many sequences where I was just bursting out laughing, as BJ Novak just did such a good job in this movie. And the character, of course, he's a New York journalist, so he's really, really incredibly smart, but he's also pretty self-obsessed as well. And I just feel like he is learning so much as an individual character, as well as obviously solving this whole murder mystery scenario as well. And then he is trying to make his podcast work. He is trying to make relationships with these people that he doesn't really get on with. His deep look at relationships as well is really, really fascinating. And I just feel like as a character, he is pretty layered and is just the perfect person to lead this movie. Next up, we have Holbrook, who is so good as well as the Thai character. Literally did throw himself into this role completely. I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal in the recently released Netflix TV show Sandman. And over here, he is playing a completely different character. Like I said, he is the brother to the deceased character, and he just becomes this Texan cowboy type person so brilliantly. And I just love, he's trying to build a relationship with the Ben character. He is a true family man, and I just love his facial expressions, the way in which he sometimes smiles. He is pretty aggressive, of course, as well, but in an endearing way. He is actually pretty likable as well, even though he is the polar opposite to Ben. And I just feel like as a double act, they work together really, really well. We have Ashton Kutcher, of course, in this film, a true tour de force. I feel like Ashton Kutcher just has such presence on screen and has played a number of different characters across his career. And over here again, he's playing a slightly different character. He does have the quintessential Ashton Kutcher vibe to him, but he is pretty new at the same time. We've also got Issa in this film as well, and she is an incredibly successful New York character as well. And Ben wants to be part of her network of podcasts. So she is in New York, and I love all of the telephone exchanges. And even though you don't really see them together on screen, apart from one scene right in the beginning of this movie, I feel like their connection is really, really strong. And you can really tell that she is a really successful character, and she is really comedic in her own way as well. We've also got Leo Tipton in this film as well, playing the deceased Abeline character. You don't really see her that much in this film. She's in a couple of videos and in a couple of photos as well, but I would have loved a flashback to really put the pieces together, and I feel like it would have helped the final few moments of this film for sure. We've also got Dove Cameron and Isabella Amara, who are playing Abeline's sisters. They don't really do that much in this film. I feel like they as characters could have gone a little bit deeper, but I guess, you know, the extra family members and extra potential suspects. And then finally, we have J. Smith Cameron, who is the mother to everybody in this family. And of course, we know this character for playing the legendary role in Succession. So it's so wicked to see her in this film as well. And similarly to everybody else, she really does embrace the Texan mother character. We've also got a grandmother who is absolutely hilarious, especially with some of her dialogue. And so from a casting character's point of view, even though the script lets them down in some places, their performances in Vengeance are just absolutely brilliant. So the visuals in Vengeance are actually really, really great. I love how they show the difference between life in New York and Texas. And speaking of the latter, they embrace and throw themselves into Texan culture so completely, really is at its core. And you really do feel what life is like in Texas, which I feel like is really, really fascinating. And also they just have the quintessential Texas aspects in there. For example, the cowboy outfits, the carnival games that they go to, the way in which everybody loves and embraces the Texan culture, especially from an audience point of view at a match as well. And like I mentioned before, I just love the fish out of water aspects. I feel like Ben is so brilliantly placed, and there are some absolutely hilarious sequences that take place in terms of this New Yorker just suddenly plucked out of New York and just dropped in the middle of nowhere in Texas. I just feel like the way in which he is dealing with all of this is really, really interesting. We've also got Whataburger, which is obviously one of the big fast food joints in Texas. And I just feel like the podcast that Ben is creating and recording is really, really cool, not only from a detective point of view, but also in terms of keeping a connection back with New York, the way in which everybody is taking him really, really seriously. Just him piecing together all of the clues in this murder mystery is just conveyed really, really well from a visuals perspective. So from a comparisons perspective, Vengeance is pretty unique. It definitely does have a hint of Tarantino in there for sure. And I love the fact that, you know, it is a bit of a dark comedic take on a murder mystery, and its style and approach is very, very unique for sure. I do feel like, you know, you are able to compare this movie to other films a little bit. So for example, Murder Mystery starring Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. Also Deep Water, Da Vinci Code, The Undoing series. I feel like there are so many similarities actually, even though the style of that was a lot more sophisticated and a lot more darker. But I do feel like there are certain things that you can definitely see that are very similar, and also Abandon as well. So from a comparisons point of view, even though Vengeance is definitely really, really unique, there are certain things that you can see in other films and TV shows. So overall with Vengeance, I absolutely loved the concept. I really, really loved the actors as well, and I absolutely loved the opening of this film. But after that, it did somewhat lose its groove and did feel a little bit unsatisfactory by the ending. And its incredible cast are able to maintain your interest. And I feel like, you know, from a filmmaker point of view, I feel like BJ Novak had a particular vision that he was creating. And from that point of view, I do feel like he was really, really successful with it. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Vengeance a solid 5.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of this film, so let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.